Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry about the very last minute of this meeting. I just really wanted to share some things that we'd learned, and also I want to, give a bit more detail about this exciting event coming up in January that I'll speak about in a second. And also just to share, because I think some of you may or may not be aware that a few of us went to Prague recently and had some training with Allyse and Patrick Shedevy, who are the leading ranking people in doTERRA. They're actually heading for triple presidential diamond, if you can even imagine that. So they really do know what they're doing, and they've refined things along the way as well. So the few of us that went came back thinking, right, we're going to literally implement everything that they've told us, because it obviously works, but also make it our own. That's important. So this is kind of one of the things that they suggested, that when you get to kind of platinum diamond level, that you do weekly team calls. Hey, Kim. Weekly team calls with your team. Now, I just want to explain this a little bit, because in England, we've been so young, haven't we? There's not tons of diamond leaders. And so we started team calls when we were silvers, because we wanted to have some team calls going. And I kind of then encouraged my leaders to do that. And then Lee suggested that perhaps it's better to have bigger numbers, is what she was suggesting, and that we have weekly calls as platinum or diamond leaders. So I know Emily's been doing her team calls, and that's fab. And then Michelle's doing team calls as well. But going forward, I've discussed with Louise, Vanessa, and Lindsay, and we're going to starting to do team calls. But also this is open for Emily's team and Michelle's team as well. So it's open to all of you. But Emily and Michelle's team, you'll find that you'll be having your weekly calls as well. So I don't want you to feel overloaded. So just to explain how it's going to be, moving forwards. So every Monday night at 7:45, not this Monday, because I've got a class, but from the Monday the 26th, I'll be doing team calls. Nathan and I will be doing team calls for our whole team. And for those who just joined late, that everyone's welcome to join us. But of course, Emily and Michelle will be also running their team calls. So you can go to 3 of your Michelle's team or 2 of your Emily's team. But it's just that everyone has a team call to go to. And the idea of these team calls is that we have some kind of little, recognition at the beginning, and some fun recognition as well. We want everyone to kind of be recognised. And then afterwards we'll do a little bit of oil training, and after that some business training. And we'll have different people, chipping in. So it's not just always myself and Nathan talking. And also it's to get together and feel motivated and inspired. Because I don't know about you, but whenever we, do these kind of things, when I listen to other people talking, I always get inspired and learn something new. So I really encourage you to attend, your uplines team call. So that's Emily, Michelle, or myself, or all 3, as I said, if you really want to. But today is kind of a one-off thing, because I can't start the team calls till a week on Monday. There's so much stuff I just can't wait to tell you. So I thought I've just got to tell you. So first of all, with that said, I'm going to share with my really rubbish PowerPoint that I just quickly did this morning. Let's just see if it's here. Here we go. So not a very pretty one, I'm afraid. But, oh look, it's just, we got to go up. There we go. But it will have the key things in it. So this is something that's very exciting. I mentioned this briefly on the Rank Advancement Club the other day, and I'm really sorry that it didn't record. I don't know what happened. So that's another reason why I wanted to do today's quickly. So when we were over in Prague, Allyse and Patrick very kindly offered to do this. Now, just to put it in perspective, they said that they'd been asked by so many different people if they could put this event on in Europe. Because basically what they did last year, for just a one-off thing, they put on a 2-day event for silvers and above. And they did some never before kind of training. They kind of shared all their strategies that they've learned for rank advancing, and other things as well for building your team, and you know, more strategically. And so they basically shared these things, and everyone was just raving about it. So that's why people want it all across the world. But you know, Allyse and Patrick are very, very busy, and they said they couldn't. But for some reason we got lucky, and they've said that in January they'll put it on, you know, for our team primarily, but also if we can't fill up the spaces, they basically need all the spaces filled to make it worthwhile for them. So we'll open up to other teams. So I've been liaising with Patrick, and yeah, they've told us that we need to let them know by the end of June if we're confident we can get 70 people to this event. Now let me tell you why you'd want to go. Well, first of all, this is the event here, so I'll do one slide at a time. So the event will be on the 26th and the 27th of January. So it's going to be a 2-day event for silvers and above. And we're going to get split into different ranks as well. So you'll get specific rank training for your particular rank, which will be great. The training is going to cost $300 per person. This doesn't include flights, okay? And what it includes is what it says up here. So it includes the training from Patrick and Allyse, the hotel stay in Patrick and Allyse's own hotel. So they have a hotel. So we'll go there Thursday, so Friday and Saturday night. And it includes all the food and drinks as well, and transportation from the airport to the hotel. So that's what the price includes. So $300, which I'm not sure, but probably £250, I'm guessing, that kind of amount. Now, when I asked her what it was going to cover, she kind of told me briefly, but she said it was basically going to be the same as what she did in the US. So I found my email that had this information on. I'm just looking at it myself in more detail. So basically, she's going to give us lots of different strategies of how to rank. And these will be, okay, that's the end of it. These will be strategies. Like, it's hard I recommend watching some YouTube videos of Allyse, because it's hard to kind of really put across how amazing Allyse is just from my words. But there's something very unique about Allyse. I mean, and Patrick, both of them, before they came into doTERRA, they're a very successful business and people. They ran quite a few companies, multi-million-dollar companies. This is what they do. They are able to look at things and work out what makes them successful, find clear pathways, simplify things. And I think that's one of the biggest things I got out of this training we had in Prague, was how everything just needs to be simplified, and therefore it's more duplicable for others to follow. And that's what we're excited about sharing. You know, us leaders that have come back, we want to really pass that on, so we have a clearer path, and we're not, you know, we're using our time more effectively. That's what it's about, really. And so, you know, she basically had a massive impact on each one of us that went to Prague. We've come back very inspired and with a much clearer path of how to make this business successful. And so, you know, you'll all have that opportunity. She'll be going through some of those things that she covered with us just a little bit, but also specifically on rank advancing. And it'll be stuff you haven't heard before. It'll be stuff you probably haven't even thought of. They just have a way of coming up with these strategies that are really quite phenomenal. So I really recommend going, whatever you can do to be in Allyse's and Patrick's presence, really, is just going to really help your business. They've got a lot to offer with the business. So we need to know very soon, as I've said. So if you can email Nathan, if you're silver and above, if you can just put that on there. I mean, we'll know anyway, but if you just put it on the email as well, you're silver already, you'll just put your current rank on the email, because if you're not silver yet, that's fine. You know, you've got till January to hit silver, so it's a great incentive to hit silver, but we'll need to know how many places are absolutely guaranteed and which ones perhaps aren't. And we were discussing it together, Nathan and I, the other night, and we thought, and we should just confirm this with Patrick and Allyse, but by the end of this month, I need to know, you know, obviously numbers that want to go. And then by the end of October, if you haven't reached, you're close to, if you're not looking like you're going to be hitting silver, so we'll need to review it at the end of October, then we'll have to open it up to another, team, because we have to make sure we fill the gaps. So hopefully that's clear. And like I said, I'm very excited because we're literally got personal training for our team from Allyse and Patrick, which is absolutely incredible. They've got thousands of people in their downline, hundreds and thousands. So this really is very exciting, and it won't happen again. It'll be a one-off thing. So definitely I recommend making the most of that. Okay, before I go on to the sampling process, which I just wanted to cover again because the RAC didn't get recorded the other day, I wanted to just kind of go through just some of the main kind of things that we learned from Allyse. So I'm just going to go through my notes. So basically, she started by talking to us about how, and we've spoken about this before, but how you can't attract people above what we are. So she kind of got us to kind of analyse where we are really, where we are as a person, and challenged us to try and improve ourselves. We've spoken about that before, but she said to basically, in order to be able to attract builders, we need to, do some reading some motivational books to try, and that's one way we can do it. Hanging out with people that are successful, because that rubs off on us. She said, obviously, when you first start doing the business, you attract certain type of people. And then what also helps you to attract more people is obviously success in yourself. So if you work at becoming successful, then we'll find as you become more successful, you'll attract different types of people as well, and more successful types of people and more driven people. So that was really interesting to begin with. Then she talked about getting started. So this is something I want to sort of skip this slide and go to this one first of all. So again, the things that Allyse taught, I think we've had like snippets of it from other people, and that's how we kind of compiled our training. But the way she kind of explained it and the added things that she gave us just really kind of made it a lot better. So we're going to be implementing this into our trainings, and I'm going to be simplifying our trainings and making them more what Allyse was saying, really. So going to the 100 list, for example, this is something that I wanted to let you guys know right now, especially those of you that really want to rank, and especially, the RAC club, or even out of the RAC club, and you want to rank quickly, or people that are coming on board now in your business and you want to help them get started quickly, then this is what Allyse recommends. So drawing that 100 list, but rather than using the categories that we've suggested, these are the ones that she said she's found are the most important. And when I say this, all the research that Allyse and Patrick have done is very extensive. They have spent a lot of money putting together this research and finding out what really works. And because they have got thousands of people under them, they can really get a very good overall perspective of what the things that work are, basically. So they've seen, not just with their own team, but throughout the whole of doTERRA, that most people who are successful in the doTERRA business are women. So what you do with your 100 list, once you've done your 100 list, is to give everyone a mark if they're a woman. So give them 1 score. And then if they're between 35 and 45 years, she said, give them another tick. Now, the reason being, and obviously you can be successful if you're under 35 years. I was 34 when I started, so I was out of that bracket, and some people are older, and that's fine. No, please don't rule them out. But she said, generally with that 35 to 45 years bracket, she said generally people are more tired after that level, and not perhaps ready to start a business. And it's more their warm market might be that kind of market as well. So finding people that really want to do the business after 45 is harder. It's not nowhere near impossible, and there are lots of people that do want to. But she said, generally speaking, if you're looking at everyone in doTERRA, most successful people fall in that bracket, 35 to 45 years. So it just helps when you're looking for people yourself, perhaps. So give another mark. Into natural things, give them another tick. Have they done their business before? Give them another tick. Oh, my batteries. I thought I was plugged in. Hold on. And if they have a money need, give them another tick. If they're influential people, so people follow them and listen to them, give them another tick. If they have a supportive spouse, then you give them another tick. So these are all things that really make a difference to how successful they're going to be in the business on the grand scale of things. So don't, discount people. They don't have all these things, but these are certainly things to look for. So I wanted to share this with you now, because basically our challenge is, and it's a really good idea to start your 100 list again. That's what I recommend. That's what I'm going to do. I've come back from Prague wanting to do another 100 list and really seriously go down my 100 list and do these markers. So find out, and then you basically target, first of all, sample the ones that have the highest score, because they're probably going to be the people that are going to be best at the business. So it's just refining that process. Now, this is what I wanted us to just spend a little bit of time talking about. And if you're on the RAC call the other day, I apologise, although it's always quite good to hear things again. I unfortunately do not have my co-partner here, Emily, doing role plays with me. So I'm more going to share what Allyse taught us, the main kind of things that we need to look for when we're sampling and do when we're sampling. So I shall look at my notes here. They spent $160,000 on research, again, to find out what would make people come to a class. So they found that if they offered a family physician's kit to everyone that attended a class, then they got 100% attendance. Now, they thought that's not very duplicable, so let's do something else. So they found that if they gave someone an intro kit, then would they come to a class? So if they got the lemon, lavender and peppermint kit when they came to a class, would they come to a class? And they found that 80% of people, yes, did come to a class. So that was good. Then they thought, well, what can we do that's going to be more duplicable for this? And they found that if they gave somebody a sample, but an effective sample, and I'll explain what that is in a second, if they gave someone an effective sample, then they actually found that 80% of people came to a class. So this is what they have duplicated in their team over the last kind of couple of years, and it really made a big difference to their team. Now, the stats they found that if you just invite people to a class, then 30% will come. And I think that's very true. I've done that, and you get about 30% of attendees if they haven't had an effective sampling experience. So it's a massive difference. So this is about, Allyse's and Patrick's strategies are all about making the most of our time. So she said that when we're giving a sample, first of all, we don't want to sound desperate. We're not at all desperate at giving a sample. She says that every time she gives a sample, people are really thanking her for it. People come away feeling like Allyse is doing them a really big favour, which we are. We're gifting them and opening their minds to a whole nother way of medication. So, when you really go out in your heart with that these oils are incredible, and just imagine yourself, for example, if you didn't have the essential oils, if you hadn't been lucky enough to have the essential oils shared with you, just think of that for a moment, and this wonderful gift that you're going to offer to somebody else. So if you go out with that kind of attitude, you're not desperate, you're not trying to fling yourself on everybody and anybody to give them a sample. You're trying to find those people that also are going to want to be gifted with these wonderful gifts. So when you give a sample, you have that in mind. Now, when you offer a sample to somebody, these are the key things that she told us to do that I hadn't realised quite the importance, but when she explained them, it makes total sense. When you're giving a sample to somebody, you tell them that the essential oils are just like medications, in the way that medications do not work on every single person. And sometimes it can take a few times to go back to the doctors to find the right medication for you. And it's the same with essential oils. Not every single essential oil is going to work on every single person. So sometimes it might take us a few tries. But if you're willing to be patient, then I'm quite happy to do this with you. And I'd love to help find the best solution for you. And I'm very confident we can find something that will work for your headaches or, something like that. So from the very beginning, you're really taking off the pressure from yourself as well, you know, because it can be quite scary. And if you're feeling like, you know, what if the oils don't work, which I've definitely had those feelings. So it takes that pressure off and makes the follow-up so much easier. So this is something that I just thought that's brilliant. It's genius, really, just something simple like that. And then you can say to them, and also makes it more obvious that you're going to need to follow up with them. So it doesn't look like you're pestering them, does it? So if we're saying, you know, sometimes the oil doesn't work, so can I call you in a couple of days to see how you're getting on with that sample and see how that works for your headache? And they'll be like, yeah, you know, that kind of makes sense. It flows so much easier. And then say you call them up, and let's say they didn't use it. So they haven't used the essential oil, which actually happens 50% of the time, I'd say. And so without, you know, the way you can ask somebody, instead of saying something quite, you know, blunt, like, have you used your essential oil, or what did you think of the essential oil? That puts people on the spot. And that's often when we get people making up excuses or saying it didn't work when they haven't even used it, or saying they've lost it. Whereas if you go in, you know, with an option that they haven't used it, then that's okay. So if you said something like, hi, I was just wondering, have you had a chance to use the essential oil yet? You know, because then that's a softer approach, and that enables them to then say, well, no, actually, I haven't yet. And they don't feel bad because you're not expecting them to definitely have used it. Okay, so that's a key thing to change if you haven't been saying that. So have you had the chance to use the essential oil yet? And if they haven't, then just go, okay, that's fine. How about, you know, if you've still got your headache, you could use that tonight. And then I can call you in the morning and see how you get on. I just want to make sure that's the right one for you. And if they haven't got that headache, because obviously that might not have a constant headache and that opportunity may have passed, you can say, well, we'll keep that one until you get a headache. Is there something else then that I can give you a sample for, an experience, so you can see how wonderful these oils are? And you can find out if they've got any pain, if any of their family members have got hay fever, or, you know, digestive issues, or anything at all. Do you find something else to sample, and then follow up with them again. And another thing Allyse told us is that, you know, to get people to a class and to buy something, the average amount of touches needed is about 7 to 8. So all of this is actually very positive. So sometimes I think when we get a no, when people have had a bad reaction to, we'll cover that in a second, but they haven't had a reaction to the oils, it hasn't had the effect we want, then we're like, oh, but that sinking feeling and that pressure builds. Actually just, you know, think, this is great, I've got another touch closer to them coming. So it's all really positive. And I've definitely found that when you work with people like that, and you're confident and you don't shy away from it, but actually, you know, say, that's fine, let's find another solution for this, then people feel really cared for, you know, even more cared for than just one sample. So it's actually a positive thing. So don't be scared of, you know, the oil's not working. So let's say the oil hasn't worked at all, and perhaps has even made them feel a bit sicky, you know, so that's kind of the worst case scenario, isn't it? If they have a bad reaction to the oil. Again, try not to freak out about it. But Allyse recommended that we kind of repeat back to them what they've told us, because then it looks like, you know, we're confident with it. We're not trying to shy away from their bad reaction. We're not trying to hide it or bury it under the carpet, like I think, you know, I have before, just almost trying to ignore it, but actually address it and go, okay, so what you're telling me is you used the essential oil and you felt a bit sick. Okay, well that's definitely not the response, you know, we're looking for. So that's not the essential oil for you. And also I'd probably say perhaps, you know, you're more sensitive than others. So let's try a lower dose next time. So find out a little bit how they use that essential oil first as well. And then, yeah, we'll suggest another one, and that will be another touch. And then also say, can I follow up with you in a couple of days? So you continue this process you're probably seeing until they have that wonderful experience and that essential oil has worked. And then, of course, you'd then invite them to a class. So the key things really here that we haven't really taught in the same way before is about saying the difference between, well, the similarity, sorry, between medications and essential oils. That's key when you're sampling. Also, when you're following up, to say, have you had an chance to use the essential oil yet? So that's the other key. And then the third thing is to not invite them to a class until, this is the key point, they've had a good experience with the essential oils. And I know it's very tempting to just get people to come to classes, but it's really, really key for your time effectiveness to make sure they've had a good experience before they come to a class. So that's what we covered in the RAC the other day. And I just wanted to share something that we didn't have time to the other day. I'm going to do a little diagram here to show you really the consequences of not doing this. So let's say you invite 10 people to a class. I'm just doing a little diagram here. Out of those 10 people, if they haven't been sampled, we were saying about 30% of people come to the class. So let's say 3 people attend out of 10. And out of those 3 people, again, about a third, if you're lucky, will actually purchase. And let's say on average, it's a family physicians kit, family essentials kit. So that's 125 PV. I'm going to show you my workings out in a second. Then out of that one person that signs up, you're going to get, at the very most, half of them being on LRP. So 0.5 on LRP. And let's say the average LRP is about 75 PV. So for half a person, that's 37 PV. And then I'm going to put another thing in here, which I'll say in a second. Okay, so here we go. This is my very rough graph. So this is kind of a typical thing, isn't it? When we do classes, and we're so excited about doing classes that we're putting in our class dates, inviting people, not doing effective sampling. And so we're going to get about 3 of those 10 people are going to be coming to a class. So already we've wasted 7 people that we've spent time, you know, inviting. And we've got ready for our class, and that all takes the same amount of time. No matter how many people come to a class, you're putting in the same amount of effort, aren't you? And then out of that, you're going to get 1 person signing up. And that's the average kind of purchase you're going to have. And then out of that 1 person, you're getting half a person on LRP. So that's what you're going to get. And then maybe a 10th of those becomes a builder. That's being generous, a 10th probably of those that haven't been sampled will become a builder. So that's kind of your cycle. Now, to become elite, you would have to do this cycle at least 70 times, okay? 70 times to do that cycle. So that's very time consuming. Now, if we do the other thing, so say we've done effective sampling, this is the stats according to Allyse and Patrick. So if you invite 10 people to a class and you've done effective sampling, 8 are going to come. Out of those 8, 6 people are going to purchase family physician kit, family essential kits. And out of those 6 people then, we're going to get 3 people on LRP this time. 5 PV, and then we're going to get 0.3 builders, so the same, 10% of builders probably, maybe slightly more. So here's your cycle that you're going to get. It's already looking better if you've done effective sampling. Now, in order to become elite, I mean, she said 6 times, but we kind of worked out the maths and it was more 10, but 6 to 10 times, okay? So if you're doing effective sampling, you're making a huge difference on the number of classes you have to do. So it makes total sense. So from now on, my challenge to every single one of you is to not invite someone to a class until they've had effective sampling. And then you'll have that much more rewarding experience where people are coming to classes, more people are coming to classes, will have less of that disappointment, you know, people don't turn up to classes, and also more people purchasing, which is much better use of our time. So that's just something that Allyse and Patrick shared with us that we're all really excited about. And then in the REC the other day, we also talked about what else they do to make sure people come to a class. So as well as the effective sampling, so you've done the follow-up, they've had a good experience. You then say to them, well, great, you can come into the class next week. I'll give you a call a couple of days before just to remind you, because I know how busy life can get. So they're expecting that phone call, and then just give them a call and then text them the day of the class to say, I'm really looking forward to seeing you. I've got a lovely surprise. Something like that. And that is the procedure. It's a very simple procedure, and just tweaking it a little bit, but that is what will make a massive difference to your business. And it's all really about that sampling process. So that was something I just wanted to repeat, because from the RAC the other day that didn't get recorded. So I'm very sorry about that. So then just to give you a summary then of the other stuff they spoke about. I'm not going to speak about that all today. I just wanted to kind of give you some things of what's coming as well. So Allyse also spoke about at every single intro class, then we should do a business class at the end. So we'll be doing a training on this. But she has found that actually we are missing out on tons of potential builders if we are not at the end of an intro class just giving a half an hour business class. And she recommends that you do this, you have an hour intro class and no longer than an hour, and then you have half an hour at the end to follow up with everybody and help them decide what they should purchase. And then what she suggests is that you keep the refreshments, certainly the better refreshments, so say the chocolates, to the business part, and invite everybody who would like to come and learn a little bit about the business side of doTERRA. So it's very informal. People are already there, which I think is genius, because if people go away, getting them to come back to a business class is a lot harder. But if people are already there, they've smelt the nice chocolates or whatever you've got going, and then they'll probably just think, oh, I'll just stay and listen. And I do believe that, yeah, we'll capture way more people that way, because people that might not have even really thought about it will perhaps get inspired by that business class and therefore want to learn about the business. We'll be talking about what to do in that business class. That's something that's very exciting. She says she does that after every single class. She also talked to us about prioritizing a schedule. So we're going to be talking about that in the trainings to come as well. So what things to prioritize your week with. And what else I want to just mention. So look, we're also going to be talking a little bit more about placements in our training session. We're going to be, Allyse and Patrick shared some tips about placements and about how placements should all be about focusing on freeing up our time. So we're going to be sharing some good tips about that as well. And also we're going to be doing some teaching about the class because we watched Allyse do a class and it was quite different to how I think most of us are doing our classes. And it was very refreshing. So we're going to be teaching about how to really simplify the class. She did a very simplified, very fun class. And so we're going to be sharing about that as well. And then, of course, which is why I wanted to share these two things today, is we're going to be talking about how to jumpstart your business. So I spoke about this a little bit at the summit last weekend, because the other thing that Allyse says is essential, and certainly when builders come on to the business, that you do the fast track to elite. So and you can also use it at any time to launch your business. And it always starts with what I've just shared today, is creating that 100 list and then teaching someone how to do effective sampling. So this is why I think it's important for each of us to do this, so that when we do have new builders come on, we'll be able to, generally say that we've done it as well, and we'll be able to know how it works and feel confident about it. But we'll be talking about that in our trainings as well, about how to jumpstart your business. And literally it is this process of doing the 100 list, sampling effectively, and setting in 4 class dates within a 2-week period. And basically, we suggest you do that for everybody, even if they're going to be a slow builder, because it gets momentum going from the start and it helps people get belief in the business as well, from the beginning. Because if you think about it, if you someone comes along, they do one class, another month they do another class, and it never quite picks up the momentum. And also they could have a class, hopefully not when they're having effective sampling, but perhaps they will still have a class where not as many people turn up, or they don't get very many sign-ups, and that can be deflating. Whereas if you do those 4 classes in one short period, then they've already got those classes booked in, so they can't back out of them. And they quickly get the momentum, and they'll get a buzz from those classes. They'll get some good sign-ups. They'll probably find a builder, or even 2 builders, and that'll really set them up for their business. And they can then slow down. They could do 1 class a month after that if they're a slow builder. But they've got the confidence now of teaching a class. They've seen it happen. They know the business works. Their partners are happy because they've seen them make some money rather than it dragging on and on. So this is what Allyse really recommends, that everyone starts their business. So I'm excited to teach that as well. And of course, if you want to fly, then you just carry that on and you do 2 classes a week from then on. We'll also be sharing some good tips about how to get people to host. In fact, I'll share that one now quickly with you because that's quick. I just don't want to bombard you with so much information in one go. But what Allyse said that she does is after every single class, she'll sit down with everyone in the class, and she'll go through which kit's best for them. And then she'll say to them, if you'd like to host a class, we can fix a date now, and I'd like to give you this key ring. So she gets out those lovely key rings, and she gives it to them to take away with if they book a class. And she says, depending on the amount of people that come, I will fill up the key ring for you. So she'll let them take the empty bottles away, and she'll give them an essential oil for every single person that attends that class. So that's, I think, a really good idea. Such an easy gift to give, and also incentivizes the host to be able to get people to the class. And that's when Allyse says she works with every single host to, again, sample all the people coming to the class, if possible. And she really explains, why that's going to make a big difference. So that's kind of a summary of what we learnt. We'll be breaking these down in our training sessions. So like I said at the beginning, Emily will be doing that with her team. Michelle will be doing that with her team. So if you're in those teams, you don't need to come on to my trainings as well. We'll be kind of repeating the same stuff. But, feel free to, if you'd like to have repetition, it's always good. So we're very excited to share this new stuff from Allyse. So it's not going to completely change the way we're doing things, but it is just tweaking the process and just making everything a bit more streamlined and more effective, basically. That's the key. But please do let me know about the event in January. We need to know numbers as soon as possible for that. It would be so lovely to get, all of you on that. And most of you can be silver. Well, everyone can be silver by January. It's just putting your mind to it. So let's do it. Let's go to Prague together and learn from Patrick and Allyse. Any questions at all? I'm going to stop recording so that I can put that.